Hi, I'm Lisa and welcome to my channel, The Southern Seamstress. I hope everyone's doing well and that you've got a lot of your Christmas projects completed. My husband and I recently returned from a camping trip. We had went up to Northwest Arkansas to a state park called Devil's Den, which is probably our favorite park in Arkansas. It has lots of hills and trails. It's got a big creek running through it. It's very scenic, and it's a great place to hike and walk your dogs. There wasn't very many people there, so the dogs were able to kind of roam around without their leashes sometimes, so they really enjoyed that. I didn't get any sewing done while I was at camp, but I was able to get some of my smaller Christmas projects cut out. I'm anxious to get them stitched up in the next couple of weeks. I have completed one project since I returned from the camping trip, and that's what I wanted to review today, so I hope you'll stick around for the rest of the video. So in today's video, I'm going to be reviewing the Lindsey hoodie and top pattern by Ellie and Mac. This pattern is perfect for color blocking. You can do it with a combination of 3 different fabrics or just 2. This pattern comes in a very wide range of sizes from extra small to 6 extra large, which is like a 31.5 bust up to a 56.5 inch bust and a hip of 33.5 to about 63.5 inches. According to my measurements, I was hitting the size small for my bust and waist measurements and more of the extra small for my hip measurements. So I decided to go with just the straight small. Now, if you look at the line drawings, you'll see that it has several different options to this pattern to choose. You can make it with just a crew neck or a hoodie. You can make it with or without a kangaroo pocket. And you can make it with a waistband at the bottom, or you can make it unbanded at the bottom with just a hem. For my sweatshirt, I chose to make the one with the crew neck without the hoodie. The hoodie was cute, but I find that it's kind of hard to wear a hooded sweatshirt underneath like a parka or a jacket that also has a hood, so I decided to just go with the crew neck. I also decided to go for the kangaroo pocket because it's always a good place to put your phone or your keys or just to keep your hands warm. And for the bottom, I decided to go with the banded bottom. I made my sweatshirt out of some fleece that I had ordered from Sewing Studio. On their website, they said that it was a rayon spandex blend. It's a very soft fleece with quite a bit of drape to it, and it just feels really comfortable to the touch. I did look on their website and they do have the deep olive and the burgundy, but it looked like the blue that I had ordered was no longer available. Also, I forgot to mention that Ellie and Mac on their website is having 35% off of this pattern, I think off all their patterns. I'm not sure how long that will continue. Now, this is the second Ellie and Mac pattern that I've made this year. I made a color block t-shirt back in the early summer, I think it was. And I know when I made it, it was quite long in the length. Ellie and Mac say that their patterns are drafted for a 5'5" person. Now, I'm 5'2", but I'm rather long-waisted, and I feel like most of my shortness is in my legs rather than my torso. When I made the t-shirt earlier this year, I actually shortened it by about 4.5 inches. Part of that was because I just ran out of fabric, but I probably still would have shortened it at least 3.5 inches. Now, this sweatshirt, it looked like it was going to be fairly long. I think the pattern did give measurements for the finished arm and the finished length of the sweatshirt, but I didn't want to shorten it too much. So what I did was that I shortened it by 2 inches in the sleeve and in the body. I took 1 inch out of this middle section and 1 inch out of this section. Now, you need to keep in mind, if you are lengthening or shortening this middle section particularly, that whatever you lengthen or shorten this middle section, you also have to do to the sleeve section. This middle section should line up with the sleeves. I took an inch out of each of these last two sections, and they have the lengthening and shortening line on this one right about here. So it hits this pocket opening. And when I first put my pocket up, of course you have to shorten it just like you did the section. I thought my pocket opening was going to be too small to be usable. But once I got it in, I can put my hand in that pocket. But it is still a rather small opening. So if you're going to be shortening this more than an inch, I would not take more than an inch out of this section. And I have fairly small hands, I guess. So if you have like medium to large hands, you might only want to take maybe a ½ inch here and then go ahead and take the rest lower down and divide it up on the pocket. Now I found this a fairly easy pattern to do. They have really good instructions. What I did was I have a computer across from where I was sewing it on the serger, so I just brought the instructions up on it instead of printing all those pages out. And basically you're first going to prepare your pocket. You're going to sew these little bands on and top stitch them if you want to. And I just top stitched them on my regular sewing machine. And then you're going to place it on this section. And then with my regular sewing machine, also just sew down the sides here and put a little bar tack. And then you just baste it across to kind of keep this level. And then you just join this one with this one and then this one with this one. And then you do the back the same way because it's color block exactly the same. So you just join these three pieces together. And it says you can top stitch those before you sew the side seams, but I top stitched mine after I did the side seam so I could do a continuous top stitch around it. One thing to keep in mind when cutting it out is that the top sleeve section does have a front and back. It's not exactly the same on both the front and back shoulder, and then also the middle one also has a front and back. It's just a little bit different on the sides. And when I was sewing this together, it was reminding me to have the correct sleeve top with the correct sleeve middle. And I had cut this out before I went camping, so I couldn't even remember. I knew I had laid these sleeve tops out so that I would have one direction and one the other direction, but I couldn't really remember about this, but I think I did. It all fit together fine. So then you're just going to sew these three together, and then you're going to just sew your shoulder seams and then your side seams. Now I did top stitch the sleeves before I sewed them together. Because I knew that would be really difficult trying to get around with my serger when it was all sewed up. Now instead of doing just a regular single or twin needle top stitch, for my top stitching I decided I was going to do the twin needle cover stitch on my serger, but instead of having the double line of stitchings, I was going to show the reverse side. Because I had seen one of the photos of the pattern that someone had done that, and I thought it looked cool. So this is actually the back side of a twin needle cover stitch. Now I did have some problems with this. This is the first time I had done this, and it would have been easy if I was just doing it on a hem that was flat, but I was doing this on the reverse side, and I was doing it over the seam allowance. And so I was trying to get it even from the edge of the seam, the stitching to look even, and sometimes it was going closer to the seam line, and especially did that on one of my sleeves, and I was trying to pick that out, which was not easy. So I know on one of my sleeves I was starting and stopping a couple times, and it's not perfect, but I think it mostly hits under the arm. I don't know if I'll do that again on a knit seam because it's just kind of a pain to make that straight. But I think it looks fine, and I think that no one's really going to notice it. unless I just pointed it out to them. But I just wanted to say all that to let you know that even though I've been sewing for a long time, I'm certainly not a perfect sewer. And sometimes I think we get caught up in wanting everything to look perfect and to be just right. And I think sometimes that can just dampen our creativity and just slow us down. So I just like to say, don't worry about things being totally perfect. You know, we see things up close, but when we're wearing things that we've made, people see those from a distance. They're not noticing every little stitch that's on our garment and each one's lined up straight. So if things aren't quite perfect, I just try not to let it bother me. Now I'm going to go pop this on so you can see how it looks on me. You can probably tell from just being on the dress form that it's still fairly long, even though I shortened it by 2 inches. So I'll go put that on and I'll be back in a flash. So here it is on me, and I guess even after taking 2 inches off, it still comes down low hip. I mean, all the way down to the bottom of my hips. Now the pockets, even though I took them up, the opening, I can still get my hands in, so that's not a problem. The sleeves, I think the sleeves are just about right. They could be another probably inch shorter and still not be too short. Now this is the size small, and I think if I make it again, I will size down probably to the extra small because it's just a little bit boxy and oversized more than I like it. I like my sweatshirts to be relaxed, but not very oversized, and I just feel like it kind of just hangs on my shoulders and it just doesn't have enough shape right here. And here's how the back looks. So if I make the Lindsey hoodie or sweatshirt again, I am going to probably shorten it instead of 2 inches, probably shorten it at least 4 inches. And also I'm going to size down to the extra small. One other thing that gave me just a little bit of a problem, that this pattern has a 1/4 inch seam allowance, and this fabric, it's very soft, but the edges tend to curl just a little bit. So when I had it under my serger, it would look like they were even, the 2 pieces of fabric. But sometimes when I would serge a seam and then I would turn it over the other side, sometimes the seam was just barely catching. It was like moving around just slightly. So what I would do next time is I'm going to do a 3/8 inch seam allowance. I think even if I size down one size, I can still do a 3/8 inch seam allowance and it's still not going to be too small. So that's what I'm going to do. And I may just leave off the pocket altogether. I think too, when I make it again, I'd like to do the version that has just the 2 different fabrics, that has the print and then the solid that coordinates with it. I think that would be really cute. Now my husband saw this and he really liked it. He really liked the color combination. He wears a lot of blues and greens, so he has requested one similar. I think they do have a similar pattern for the men, and they usually call the men's a straight fit, and then the women's version, they'll call it a curvy fit. So this is the curvy fit one. But it is a very snuggly and comfortable sweatshirt. I think I'll be wearing it a lot this winter. I do really like these colors together. Even though it is a little longer than I like, it's not going to keep me from wearing it. Now there was one other project I had started before I went camping, and I did finish it once I got back. And that was this little bag purse. And I had talked about this pattern on my video that has like 13 free patterns. So this is a free pattern. If you haven't seen me show it in a previous video, it is the Forage Bag by Noodlehead Patterns. And I had finished everything on it before I went camping except for the grommets. Now the grommets, they had called for a 3/8 inch grommet, which is a fairly small size. And the ones I have on here are 5/8, but a 3/8 would be this small. Now I had used a heavyweight denim from Spoonflower, and so I had several, there's like 4 layers actually, because this is 2 pieces folded, 4 layers of denim here, I think 4 layers of interfacing. So this was just not doing the trick. It just wouldn't stay in. It was just not heavy duty enough. Also, my straps are very bulky because of this denim that's folded like 4 times to make the strap, and it also has interfacing in it. So what I did was order a more heavy duty grommet, and I ordered a size up. This is a 5/8 grommet, and I think it works fine because my straps, like I said, are pretty bulky when you tie the knot in the end. Now, if your fabric is not as bulky as this denim, you could get away with the 3/8, but I think it still needs to be a more heavy duty 3/8 for this bag than what I had originally purchased. You can see on this 5/8 that it just has a deeper depth to allow for thicker fabrics. Now for the little 3/8, I had just a little hand device that mashed them together, the 2 pieces. How I applied these grommets was I had ordered from Amazon, I guess, more traditional tools for printing grommets. It came with this piece that has a blade at the end, and you first hammer through your fabric to cut out the fabric, to cut out the circle. So you mark a circle, then you cut this out, and then you push your grommet through, and you have this little holder that keeps it all in place. And then you have this other like chisel thing that goes down over your other piece, and you actually hammer it together. Now, I don't think I could do a ton of these because at one time, because loud noises really give me a headache, and it is pretty loud. But it did work. I think these are securely in this bag. I don't think they'll be coming out. Now for my future bags, I'm making a few more bags like this. And what I'm going to do, instead of 2 pieces of the denim, I'm going to do 1 piece, the outer piece, the denim, and the inner piece, just the cotton lining fabric. And I probably will go ahead and interface it. But when I interface it, I'm going to not put my interfacing on the seams because these seams were so bulky. It was really hard, to get them turned out. So I think I'll do my interfacing like a seam allowance less around. So I do want it to hit this grommets area. And then on the rest of the bag, I'm not going to interface the denim pieces. They have you interface like everything, but I'm not going to interface the denim, and that's going to make my side seams less bulky. But I will interface this pocket, inner pocket, and also the lining side that the pocket sews down to, because I want it to be nice and strong and not rip out. So anyway, I hope to get several more of these made. I think it's really cute. The straps are really long, but you can, of course, just cut these straps off. They're not finished at the ends. And I think I will put some frayed check right there just so they won't ravel. But I thought this turned out really cute, and I was so glad that I was able to get some grommets put in here that would work. So that's the Forage Bag by Noodlehead. And that pattern also comes with the what they call the mini Forage Bag, which is just a little bit smaller than that, which I think would work well for small children, or if you just want to like carry maybe your phone and a few items. So that pretty much wraps up today's video. There's only 2 more weeks before Christmas, so what I'm going to be doing in those 2 weeks is sewing up all the gifts that I want to make for Christmas, and I won't be able to show those until after Christmas because some of the recipients do watch my videos. I do hope to pop in once, maybe with a little short video before Christmas. I've got a few fabrics ordered from Guthrie and Ghani that I'd like to show. I've only ordered about 3 fabrics, and 2 of them are for vest patterns, and one of them is a very simple vest, so I'm hoping I may be able to make that up before Christmas. And if so, I'll put that in the video. So if you enjoyed this video, I would really like for you to give a thumbs up. And I would love to hear about any projects that you're making as gifts for Christmas this year. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, I would love for you to hit that subscribe button. Just recently, I hit 1,000 subscribers, and that was really exciting. So I want to say a special thank you for all those out there that have already hit that subscribe button for me. Thank you so much. Until I see you in the next video, take care and happy sewing.